Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host, Mikey. Today I'm going to show you a new stitch that I came up with, and I wondered in corner to corner, where else can I stick my hook? And I came up with the concept of doing 2 spike stitches and a regular stitch for doing this concept. I also figured out that this concept can be done with Bruges lace bordering, which I'll talk about in a different video. But with this particular kind of stitch, you can do rectangles, you can do squares. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to get started with this concept, how to do it, and let's begin. I am using Red Heart Bitty stripes today called Moonbeam, and I'll be using a 5.5mm size eye crochet hook. You can use any size crochet hook and yarn as long as they complement each other. So I am making a scarf here today, and I'll show you how this is done. I use video chapters in my video description if you'd like to scoot ahead to be able to jump the steps, and just in case you don't want to go right from the very beginning. We're going to create a slip knot to begin and insert your hook. And I'll show you my tips as well as showing you how to keep this thing so the edges are nice and flat. So you're going to start off, and you need to start off with the bottom box, so it's corner to corner. So we start off on one corner and we finish on the other corner, regardless if it's a rectangle or a square, it's corner to corner. So how I do it is that I chain 6, but watch. So I go 1, 2, and 3, and then I pinch that one. And then I go 4, 5, and 6. The one I'm pinching is the very first stitch to use. So I'm just going to move my thumb backward out of the way so that I can do a double crochet in that stitch. So just yarn over and just move your thumb out of the way and go right into that chain. And double crochet. You're going to double crochet then the next 2 chain. So this starts off just like regular corner to corner. We're just going to change our hook locations to get that texture that I showed you. Okay, so this is actually 4 double crochet. So we have the chain that we skipped over, and the second one, third, and fourth. I want you now to turn your work, and we're going to begin then row number 2. Row number 2. We're going to do an increase on both sides of this because we're building outward, and only in rectangles that one side will do a decrease when we get to the width that we need and continue with an increase on the other side, and if it's a square, both will decrease at the same time. So we're going to increase both sides right now as we build out. So we're going to chain 6, but watch. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, pinch, 4, 5, and 6. The one I'm pinching is the first stitch I'm going to use. So move your thumb backward out of the way and yarn over and double crochet into that chain. And double crochet the other 2 chains that are there. So there's always 4 double crochets that will be in a row. So my bottom piece has rotated on me. I got to make sure that before I connect it to this box, I got to make sure that I turn it in a way that this is facing down towards me. And I'm going to use this space that is between the double crochet and the chain. And I'm just going to slip stitch. And now I'm going to start doing the spike stitching going down. To begin to do that, we're going to chain 3. We're going to look, and we're not going to touch the 4th one here. So we got the 1, 2, 3, and 4th. We're going to go between the 3rd and the 4th. So we're going to yarn over and spike stitch down between the 3rd and the 4th. And so this yarn is going to go right up over top of that piece, and you're going to pull through, and you need to wiggle it to get it to the right height of that last chain 3 that you just created. It just takes a few seconds, not even a second. And then yarning over, pulling it through 2, and yarning it over, pulling it through 2. You're going to have to get used to the tension that this is providing, so you might have to practice. And so the next drop down will be between the second and the third. So just yarning over. So if you're looking at it from this perspective, we drop down here, and then the next one is going to drop in between here, and then the third one is going to be here. Okay, so we're going to just come down, just move this out of the way. It's harder on the edges than it is in the middle. So you're going to then separate the second and the third and go between the posts, and yarning over, pulling it through, and pull it up just enough, and pulling it through 2 and 2. And then because this is an edge, I want you to go right into the edge piece itself and double crochet. And this will hold it from changing its shape. Usually in corner to corner, they say to use this spacing, and what happens is that it turns into a diamond shape. And now it's going to become a lot easier from this point. So you're going to turn your work and begin row number 3. You're going to see that this is a double-sided pattern as well. And let's begin number 3. To begin row number 3, you're going to chain 6. So do that special technique. So 1, 2, 3, pinch, 4, 5, 6. Right where you're pinching is the first double crochet. Move your thumb out of the way and double crochet that one, plus the 2 other chains that are on the way back to your project. Your project should not be spinning around like it was on the second row, because we've now established it being solid. So we're going to slip stitch into the space between the first and the second, and then we're going to start doing the spike stitching. So the first spike, let me just point it out, is going to come in between the third and the fourth. And then the next spike is between the second and the third. And the third one is between the first and the second. It's harder to see that on the edges. So you're going to chain 3 before you start. So this is the height that you need to get it to. So you're going to come all the way down between the third and the fourth, yarning over, go right in between the posts, and just wiggle it up enough, and then pull through 2 and 2. The next one is between the second and the third. So yarning over, go between the second and the third post. It's easier to see it in person. Pull through, just wiggle it up to give it a little bit more space, and pull through 2 and 2. And finally, the third one is in between the first and the second space. And that's just going to be a regular stitch. So you can see it does a stepping formation. And now you're going to come it to here, and you're going to go between the first and the second in the space, slip stitch, and then do the same thing. So the only difference is that I want you to connect it to an edge so we don't lose our flat edge look. So we're going to chain up 3 and spike it between the third and the fourth, right here. Pull up enough space so that it wraps around those other posts that you've covered over. Come in between the next one, between the second and the third. Just force your hook in, give it a little bit of space, and finish it. And then the third one, because it's an edge, we want to go and connect it. If you go and use the space, it will make a diamond shape corner to corner. This will hold it and give you a flat edge. And then you're going to turn your work and begin row number 4. So you're going to see that the spiking that will happen when we go to start a box, we can't spike right away. So it looks like it's empty on this side, but it gets filled in when we come back across, and we'll show you that on row number 4. So row number 4, you're going to start off like you already know. So we're still going to build it out. We don't want to decrease at all. So we're going to just chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, pinch, 4, 5, 6. Right where you're pinching is the first one. And you're going to double crochet back towards the project. So you can't spike on this box because there's nothing to spike to. and then just fold it up and go and slip stitch between the first and the second. Now this is where it gets fun. You're going to chain 3. So even though they're spike stitches, you're still going to treat these posts like they're regular posts, like these. So you're going to go between the 3rd and the 4th for the first one. Just make sure you wiggle it and give it some space. Now the next one is between the 2nd and the 3rd. So it's no difference, it's just you're going around those spike stitches instead. And the 3rd one is between the 1st and the 2nd space. So it steps just like that. Once you can see that, you're good to go. Slip stitch to the next space. Chain 3 to start. Okay, and you're going to go spike between the 3rd and the 4th. Spike between the 2nd and the 3rd. I can assure you it's easier to see in person, and your hook just naturally falls between the spaces. And then the 3rd one is between the 1st and the 2nd space, or 1st and 2nd crochet there. And then you're going to come in, slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 3 and start again. Try that again. The edge one is a little tricky, but if it's not done, it doesn't look right. Okay, between the 2nd and the 3rd. And between the 1st. Okay, so because it's an edge, I want to connect right to the outside. So go right into the stitch work itself to hold that, to keep a flat edge. So when you're increasing, you're going to always start off the same way. You're going to chain your 6 and then build your boxes backward towards there and continue to increase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do that. I'm going to do a few more rows, and then I'm going to show you how to do a decrease on this, because I'm going to also show you a rectangle in today's video. So let's say I'm happy with this and it's a square blanket or a square whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter the number of boxes that you have. How do you know how many boxes there are? If you look at the number of steps, that's the number of boxes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're doing the Bruges lace bordering that I'll talk about in a different video, you need to make sure that there's an even number of boxes. So regardless if you look at it from this perspective, because we've been growing them out evenly, it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it has to be an even number of boxes in order to make that happen. If you're doing a rectangle concept, you also still need an even number of boxes going in both directions, regardless of what that number is. It doesn't have to be the same number, it just has to be the even number of boxes. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to show you a decrease then for square, and then later on in the video that you'll see in the time markers, I'll show you how to progress to do a rectangle, and then we'll also do a decrease from that perspective. So what I'm going to do is just pick this up, and I'm going to show you how to do a decrease as if you're doing a square. So we're now going to do a decrease, and we're going to decrease on both sides. So we're going to be ending right here. So we're eliminating out 1 box every time we do a decrease. So currently we have 6. So to get there, we need to start here. So we're in the wrong position. So we need to then slip stitch across the tops of these stitches here on the edge. Okay, so you're just going to slip, slip, and don't slip into this chain or this space here. Slip into the actual physical chain itself, and thus will hold this and lock it towards the edge so that you don't end up with a weird edge. Now you're going to chain 3, and you can actually do your spike stitching because these are lying on its side. So when we are increasing the first box, there's nothing to attach to, but on the decrease, there is something. So we're going to decrease between the third and the fourth. Sorry, we're going to spike between the third and the fourth. Spike between the second and the third. And double crochet the regular last between the first and the second. And then you're just gonna slip stitch and begin again. So just chain 3 and then spike between the third and the fourth. Spike between the second and the third, and double crochet in the regular between the first and the second. And go like that. So you're going to keep on going across, and I'll see you when we are going to stop and decrease on this side. I'll be right back. So as I'm coming closer, this will be my last box. I don't want to increase on this side. Okay, so by adding more, you're increasing. So by stopping here, you're doing a decrease. So the very last box here, your chain 3, and you are going to do your spikes. And here's the trick. So it's between the first and the second. So you are going to not slip stitch to the space like you had been, as if you're building up. You're going to slip stitch to the actual chain itself to hold that solid. And then you're going to turn your work and continue to decrease. So when you decrease now, we have to get ourselves here. So we're going to then slip stitch ourselves to that position. So we're going to slip stitch across the tops of the existing double crochets, and you are going to slip stitch into the chain itself, not to a space. When I first started doing corner to corner for several years, my corner to corners were always out of alignment, and I realized if I just anchor it down into an edge like that, it's better. So you'll chain 3 and then spike. And spike. And if you're learning something new, I'd love to hear in the comments how you're doing. So once you get your 3 in there, slip stitch to the next space, chain up 3, and then start spiking. And I'll see you on this box right here as we continue our decrease for the corner. So I'm going to keep on going. This is my last space to fill in. It's very possible that you accidentally turn your work and you accidentally go the extra one because you've been used to increasing. So if you find yourself doing that, don't feel that special, because it happens to all of us, where we just continue to add more boxes when we shouldn't be, and we just have to frog it out, which means to rip it. So your spike, and then the regular stitch, and then, as I said, just go into the chain work itself and slip stitch to hold that, and then flip your work. So you can see that we're making our way to the corner. So to start another one, slip stitch across the top. And into the chain work itself, and then start again with the decrease. So you're going to chain 3. So this edge should always be traveling up like that, and start your spikes. So you might want to exaggerate your hand motion for the spikes, now that I said that so far into the tutorial, but you will get used to being able to do it. And as you're completing each row, it's just going to get faster and faster to the end, because you are eliminating out one box every time you're doing a decreased row like this. Okay, and I just got one more box left. And do your spike, spike, and stitch. Okay, and attach it to the chain work itself to hold, and turn your work. So chain 3 and spike, spike, and the regular stitch. And this is your last box. So 1, 2, 3, spike. So I like corner to corner, but I get really bored of the regular look of it. So this is kind of a new approach to it to give you a little bit of excitement to it. Okay. And don't go into a space like I was just about to. And slip stitch to the chain work, and then to fill in your last box, just get yourself to the corner first. And this is your last box to fill it in, and spike, and spike, and regular stitch. Regular just means between the first and the second, and then you were going to slip stitch to the chain work. And what I would do just for consistency to get your stitch to the corner, so just keeping your edging looking the same, and just slip stitch yourself right to the corner, and therefore this ends right on a corner, just like how you started with. And so you end up then with a nice corner to corner in the square. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to proceed to do the rectangle. I'm going to frog it back out to the halfway point, and I will show you how a rectangle is increasing on one side, decreasing on another, and then work my way back to a corner. And that'll be next in the tutorial. So welcome to part 2. I'm doing this concept in a rectangle. So both sides have been increasing, and for the Bruges lace bordering, you need to make sure that there's an even number of boxes. So to count the boxes in this direction, I can just count the number of steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know that there's 6 boxes that will go this way. And for Bruges lace, then in the other direction, there has to be an even number as well. So it could be like 6, 8, 10, 12. So what I need to do is, don't look at your project from this perspective, look at it from this perspective. So in order to get a rectangle, this side has to do an increase while this side does a decrease. So this side has to travel up to make it shaped like this, and then this side here travels up to continue like that. So what we have to do is start on this side. This side will always have an increase, this side will have a decrease until you get to the length you want, and then they both can decrease at the same time. So let's begin to do that next. So let's pick up our project, and I told you that I want to increase one side, decrease on the other. It's going to become very obvious once we do this first pass what side is the short side and what side is going to be the longer. So this side will do an increase, so we're going to continue with that chaining of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And right where you pinched is your first one. So to do an increase, you have to chain 6, and to do a decrease, it's different, and I'll show you that in a moment. So we come all the way back, and then we're just going to fold it up and slip stitch right to the space between the first and the second. So now we're going to start and chain 3. And we're going to start with our spikes between the second and the third. Sorry, between the third and the fourth. Sorry about that. Next one between the second and the third. And the next one's in the regular between the first and the second. So you already know what you're doing in order to make that happen. So you're going to zip your way across, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to meet you right here to show you how to do a decrease then on this side so we can travel. And I'll be right back in a moment. So just keep on going across. So I'm coming across, and I want to stop at this box right here. So if I add more here, it's going to increase, and I don't want it to. I want it to do a decrease to travel along the length of the scarf. So I'm going to chain 3 and do my last one. So I'll do a spike, spike, just keep that order going, and then in the regular stitch, And when you do a decrease like this, what I don't want you to do is that I don't want you to go into the space. I want you to go into the chain work and slip stitch it. And the reason for it, when you go into a chain work, it will not pull this project into a weird shape. It'll stay nice and flat. And then we're going to turn our work. So you can see now that we've increased it in this direction, but we now have a decrease that's happened, so it will never get any wider than this. So we're going to then travel up like that. So then to begin again, you are going to slip stitch across the tops of these stitches. So slip, slip, and slip, and do not slip into this space. Stay within the stitch work itself, the chain work, and slip stitch, and this will hold it so that you end up with a really nice edge. If you go into the space, it jets in and it misshapes your project. To begin then a decrease, you're going to chain 3 only. So you only chain 6 when you're increasing. To do a decrease, you're chaining 3 only, and you can immediately spike to what's below. Because when you chain 6, there's nothing below. So, but there is now because we're doing a decrease. So we're going to spike between the 3rd and the 4th. Spike between the 2nd and the 3rd. And double crochet in the regular. And then come into your next space and continue that formation. So 1, 2, 3, so chain 3 and then spike. And because this is a rectangle, when we get to the other side and we want to make it longer like a scarf, we're going to still increase until you get to the length that you need. Okay, so I'll meet you here in just a moment. So you can see it'll never get wider than that. So I'm coming up here, and normally I would stop at these box right here and make this my last box if I was decreasing, but I don't want to because my scarf is not long enough, or whatever you're making, table runner. And when you get to the length that you want, maybe you got a rectangle bed, like a single bed, you can do this. So I want to do an increase, so I'm just going to go to the space, chain up 3, and this adds a new box. And then I'm going to spike. I'm going to assume that when I say spike, you know where you're going at this point. And the third one is going to go to the chain work to hold that in position so that you end up with that flat edge. And now you're going to turn your work. So if I want my scarf longer, I'm going to do an increase on this side, which I'll show you, and then we stop right here. So we are doing a decrease by stopping early and not creating a new one. So let's create a new row. So to keep on growing the length, you're just going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just use the pinching method. It'll speed you along. In the very beginning, when I was doing this for a few years, actually, I wasn't pinching, and I was like, oh my God, to find that stitch is a pain in the ass. So I thought, well, if I just pinch it, I can see it. So I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to spike. Okay, and then you work your way across. Okay, so this created a new box, so it creates it to be longer, and then I'm going to stop here and I'll see you there in a moment. So I'm going to do a decrease on this side, so I'm just going to chain 3 and make this my last box. Now it's very important that you know that sometimes when we're not paying attention, we might add a new box and go on top of here, and then you look at your work and realize you've created an extra box. Don't feel special. All of us do it because we're just hooked in the TV or we're just distracted or something. Okay, blame the cat or a dog or something. Okay, so this is your last box going in. The trick is make sure you do slip stitch it to the chain work itself and not to a space. Okay, so make sure you do that and it will anchor it nicely. And so this side will then continue to decrease on this side. So you're going to slip stitch here and work your way across. And if you want longer, just make sure you go beyond this to create an extra box over here like I already showed you. So what I would like to show you next is when you're happy with the length of your scarf, you're going to decrease both sides at the same time. So we're going to still decrease this side, but we're going to end early here to create it so that we can get to a point. And that's going to be coming up next. So we're going to do a decrease then. So say you're happy with the length of your scarf. So this side continues to decrease. You could be on the other side and say it's long enough and start the decrease here too. It doesn't matter which side you started on if you're doing the decrease on both sides. So you're going to get yourself all the way to the corner. Okay, go right into that chain work, not the space, and then chain 3, and then spike like you normally would. So our goal is when we get to the other side is that we start doing the decrease on that side as well. So every time you do a decrease, it eliminates one box out per row that you do it. So slip stitch it, and I'll see you closer to here in a moment. So just continue to go across like you already know. So I'm continuing across. I don't want to grow any more length, and so this will be my last box going in. So I'm going to spike, and spike, and the regular stitch, and then you're just going to slip stitch it to the chain work. Okay, and then turn your work. So you can now see that you are decreasing here, but now you're no longer going to grow the length. And so then when you start to do a decrease again, you just continue to go along the edge to get yourself to the top of this chain work right here. And then start again. So chain 3 and spike. Spike and spike, and slip stitch to your next space, and so forth. So what I'm going to have you do is that I'll meet you here just to recap on that, and then we'll continue to learn more. So we're not going to put any more increases. We're going to stop at this box here, and we do spike, spike, and spike. And then turn your work and continue to decrease. So I will see you closer to the corner. So just keep on decreasing as you go, and I'll be right back. So the appeal to corner is based on the idea that once you start decreasing on both sides, the blanket gets faster to create because you're eliminating out. So it starts off really quick because it's at the small spot, it gets out to the widest area, and then once you start decreasing, it gets faster and faster. So there's a joy in that. So you're going to do your last box. So you're going to decrease, get yourself to the corner. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and spike. So I intentionally did even number of boxes. You don't have to. I did it because I want to show the Bruges lace with this on a different video, but it doesn't matter the number of boxes that you do. You can be very subjective to that. And so what I like to do, I don't like to finish there. I like to finish right on an edge. So I'll just slip stitch it to the top of the first chain. And therefore, I'm right on the very corner. So you can see that this is how you would have done a rectangle. So you can understand that you were increasing till you got to a certain point, and then you started decreasing, or whatever way you want to look at it. We kind of talked about it like this. So it was increasing, and then this side decreased as this one increased. And then once I got to the length I wanted, then they both decreased to take it to the edge. So this would be how you would do the spiked corner to corner in both rectangle and square. Let me know if you learned something today, and I hope you have a great day.